Hello boys and girls, today we are going to make a stamp that we're going to use to make some prints. So first you're going to sketch your design on a piece of lined paper, and I'll show you why we're using a lined paper. So we are going to be printing our name. Now, let's say this is the side I have my design on. My finger is on what side of this paper? Right now, my finger is on the left side. So watch what side, when I flip this over to print it, my finger is now on. What side is my finger on now? My finger is on the right side. So that means that when you do a print make, or you make a print, it flips your image. It's a mirror image. So to be able to do this, if I draw my S for my initial in the right way, when I flip it over, it's going to be backwards. So you need to do your letter backwards. A trick to doing your letter backwards is to draw it on a piece of paper however you would like to draw it. Actually, I'm going to show you how to make it 3D first. So I have my letter written on there, or not 3D but bubbly, and I'm going to trace around the edges of this. Okay, there we go. So here is my S. Now if I keep it this way, it's not going to work because it will be backwards when I make the print. So I'm going to flip this paper over, and I'm going to trace. You might need to put a little paper underneath like I did, but don't put your styrofoam underneath because you have to draw really lightly like I am. Trace around your letter. And there is my backward S. Now some letters are not going to look like they're incorrect because they're the same both ways, forwards and backwards. You're going to then do a design of some sort around your letter. So this is you just figuring out your design. Okay, once you have your design figured out, you are going to move it onto your styrofoam. When you're drawing on your styrofoam, don't press hard, draw lightly. And remember, you want to draw that letter backwards. A dull pencil works better for this than a sharp pencil. Also, if you want to cut this into a different shape, you may. I should have done that before I did my design on there. Okay, once you have it all drawn in pencil, you're going to trace over it once with pen. Press hard into there. Now, you got to be careful with the direction you go with the pen because sometimes it digs into there a little deep. So just be careful with the direction that you're pulling it in so that your pen isn't digging too deep in here. If you happen to bust through to the other side of the styrofoam, that's okay. Just try not to go that deep. So I'm going to trace over all my lines a second time, making these grooves in here, these indents, a lot deeper, that I can feel them easier. That's important when we're making our print because if these grooves aren't deep enough, when we put the ink on here, the ink will just go over top of the whole thing and it won't avoid those grooves that you have, and then your print will just be a blob of whatever shape you have created. You're not going to see any of these designs. Now you are done for this and you are ready for some printmaking. Make sure your grooves are nice and deep. Like if I zoom in, you can see those indents really nicely. And that's what you need to make a good print. Now we are ready to create our print, boys and girls. Hello. So you are going to need a brayer, your styrofoam base, ink and a tray and a mat so we don't make a mess, and another piece of paper that should have your name on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ink from the tray and roll it on my brayer. I'm only rolling my brayer in the tray. You want to load this whole thing up with ink. Okay? So now I have the ink on here. I'm going to put the tray off to the side and I'm going to load up my print with ink, and as you can see, my design is already starting to pop out. If I need more ink, go back to the tray, get some more ink on there, and roll the rest of it onto your print. You want the whole styrofoam covered with ink. If you have areas where the ink is not covering the styrofoam, I don't mean like in those grooves, but I mean in other areas where you just don't have it carved, your print will not turn out nicely. So here we go, I have my ink all covering there. I'm going to take my paper with my name on the back side, take my print, flip it over on top of this paper. Now, I'm going to leave it still on here. What I am pushing down, I'm actually going to use the clean brayer now, and I'm just going to use this brayer to push down and press that ink off of my styrofoam and onto my paper. I'm going to do that all over on here. Notice while I'm rolling the brayer on here, I am not moving my one hand. I'm keeping one hand still so that my print is not going to be all blurry and moved from the styrofoam moving. So once you're done, you should do this about like 30 seconds to a minute. What you are going to do is you're going to pull off this print or styrofoam to reveal your print. So you're going to have to hold down the paper because it's stuck to it pretty nicely and pull up your print nicely. And there is your print made letter. Now areas like here, I either didn't have enough ink or I didn't press well enough there to transfer the ink from the styrofoam to the paper. Have fun, boys and girls.